Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. One tough lesson that I've learned these last couple of years is that anytime two or more people get together, there's always going to be some degree of conflict. I mean, you might learn something from the other person, you might have a good time together, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be something that's at odds with one another. Whether that person that you're hanging out with be your business partner, some kind of business relationship, whether it be a romantic interest, or whether it even just be somebody on the street that you might not see again. Anytime there's two people involved, there's always some degree of conflict. And it makes me really enjoy my time with inanimate objects, like the bismuth, like the computer games. They have never let me down. Yes, there are times when the bismuth didn't go right. Yes, there are times when the computer games didn't work as I first thought they would. But at the end of the day, they don't give me a toxic taste in my mouth. And I talked extensively on this channel already about a couple toxic workplaces that I've been at. Fortunately, I'm no longer in a toxic workplace, but even then, the work-life balance could be better. So for example, I teach at a community college right now, and a lot of times, most of my colleagues don't beat at the same wavelength as I do. So any work-life balance that I try to take is, he's lazy, right? Meanwhile, my colleagues, when they have any work-life balance issues, I'm just spending time with my family, we're going to Disney together. It just gets colored differently. I mean, I've learned to take it even if it gets colored differently. But even still, it's a disheartening taste, if you will. And then the other night, I went to a restaurant, and like you guys know, I have some dietary restrictions, and the restaurant kept getting the food wrong. And it's not because, a lot of Americans, unfortunately, don't know what the fuck they are eating, but this cook went out of his way to be creative with what he wanted to put in my food, because he probably has never dealt with a family member with a dietary restriction. Went to a steakhouse, and I specifically told him, no seasoning, no butter. I react badly to milk product. I get itchy skin all over. Some of the seasonings are tricky because you never know if any pre-mixed seasonings have MSG in them. I find I do really well avoiding MSG. I have high-functioning autism. And yes, some people might think I'm a little bit extreme, but you know what? It's better safe than sorry. I've had times when I could have been institutionalized right when I was a kid, and I really, really want to avoid heading in that direction. And so I just find that avoiding MSG does wonders for me, and it's really easy to avoid. Unfortunately, this cook kept deciding he wanted to be creative. He brings out the steak and puts this whatever powder on it, and we don't know what it is. The cook doesn't know what it is, and he starts over. He brings it back out again. He puts an onion ring on top of it, and thank God these days I have a lot of patience with food. Right, 3 years ago I used to be very impulsive. I would when food didn't come out right, and I would get really angry, because I was edging on eating, and then I would get angry at everybody involved in the restaurant. Thank God I have a lot of patience to work with these people these days, and I like to think that I gave the cook and the waiter a little bit of a lesson on dietary restrictions, and how satisfying the customer is more about their taste, not yours, right? I know you like your food that way, right? But that's a preference for another time, right? And then I go home to pour bismuth art, and I don't have to run into all this drama, right? Yes, there are times when the bismuth doesn't turn out right, but that's a fun thing to do too, right? It's not a toxic having to figure out other people's emotions and how to work around it, how to teach this cook a lesson without embarrassing him at the restaurant. It's not that, right? It's not having to compromise, doing something I don't like because I want to impress a girl or something. I tried to return to the dating world this past spring, and I just find that I'm wasting a lot of my time and energy doing that when I could be pouring bismuth or writing a computer game. Lately, I've been programming Ticket to Ride Japan, and to be honest, the game isn't going right, but I'm having a great time with myself. And unfortunately, people are just so toxic, which is why the sooner I become financially independent from the bismuth art, the better, right? And I never have to deal with anybody ever again. And when I want to go on vacation, nobody has to approve of the places I'm going or what I'm doing and all that. Which is why July 18th, I hope to corner the market, and I hope to have 3 tons of bismuth before it shoots sky high. I did some, no matter what projection model I use, every model seems to predict bismuth going to at least $500 an ounce. So I'm using that as my bare minimum. Lately, every time I buy some bismuth, I think to myself, given how much bismuth I have, how high does the price have to go before I can be financially independent? And as I watch that number go down and down as I accumulate more and more bismuth, I feel so good. Every time I redo the calculation, oh, now bismuth only needs to go to, $200 an ounce. Now it only needs to go to $100 an ounce. And I love that feeling and seeing that it's very reachable. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.